All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a massive force that's quietly shaping, well, pretty much our entire global economy. It's a story about money, about power, and about who's really in control. The title for today's explainer says it all. They own the market.
So let's just jump right in with a little puzzle for you. Think about some of the biggest corporate rivals out there. You know, Coke and Pepsi, Apple and Microsoft, Ford and GM. These guys spend billions of dollars a year fighting each other for every last customer. But what if I told you they all share a very powerful and very quiet secret connection? Well, check this out. If you zoom in on two of those rivals, Ford and General Motors, something really strange starts to pop out. Take a look at their top shareholders. For both companies, the list is exactly the same. The Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and State Street. So, how is that possible? How can the biggest owners of these two fierce competitors be the exact same firms? And trust me, this isn't just some weird quirk in the auto industry. You see this exact same pattern again and again across banking, tech, pharma, pretty much every major part of the economy. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of a huge fundamental shift in the way our entire financial system works. And it's a story that, believe it or not, affects almost every single one of us.
So, who are the architects behind all this? Let's pull back that curtain and meet the main players in this story, a group we can call the Invisible Giants.
The names we just saw, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, they are the key to this whole thing. People often call them the big three of asset management, and you've probably heard their names before, but the true scale of what they do is almost impossible to grasp just on the surface. Okay, so to really get this, we need to know what an asset manager even is. And it's actually pretty simple. They're companies that take a giant pool of money from millions of investors, we're talking pension funds, universities, and yeah, probably your personal retirement account, and they invest all that cash into stocks, bonds, and other stuff. Think of them as the ultimate financial middlemen. But the sheer amount of money they're managing, this is where the story gets absolutely mind-boggling. We are not talking about billions here. We are talking about trillions. In fact, just two of these companies control a truly staggering amount of the world's wealth.
Just look at that number. Combined, BlackRock and Vanguard alone manage over $15 trillion. To try and put that into perspective, that is more than the entire yearly economic output of China. It's a concentration of money that's almost too big to even imagine.
And look, this isn't some abstract financial stuff happening in a galaxy far, far away. If you have a 401k, an IRA, any kind of retirement plan, there is an incredibly high chance your money is being managed by one of these firms, which means you, whether you know it or not, are a part of this story.
So, okay, they manage a ton of money. Big deal, right? Well, how does all that cash actually turn into real-world power and influence? It all comes down to the power of a single vote.
The engine driving this whole machine is the explosion of something called passive investing. You see, for decades, the old way to invest was to try and pick winning stocks. But passive investing is the total opposite. It's a strategy that just tries to copy a market index, like the S&P 500, by buying a little bit of every company in it. It's simple, it's cheap, and it has become unbelievably popular. And this popularity creates a really powerful chain reaction. Step 1. Millions of us put our savings into these simple index funds. Step 2, the asset managers take that giant ocean of money and use it to buy shares in basically the entire market. And here is the absolute crucial part, step 3, because they are the legal owners of all those shares, they are the ones who get to cast the votes that come with them. And here's what that looks like. In a typical big public company today, the big three together are the single largest shareholder, controlling around 22% of the stock. Now sure, other institutions combined own more, but there is no other single entity that comes even close. This makes them, by far, the biggest and most powerful voting bloc in practically every major boardroom on the planet.
So what does this actually mean? What are the real-world consequences when just a tiny handful of firms has this much voting power across the whole economy?
Well, their influence touches pretty much everything. They get to vote on who sits on corporate boards. Their investment decisions direct the flow of capital, which means they effectively help decide which industries grow and which ones don't. And lately, they've become hugely influential in pushing for major corporate policy changes, especially with the rise of so-called ESG, or environmental, social, and governance investing.
This quote right here really nails the scale of it. This isn't just about influencing one company here and another one there. When you have a significant voice at practically every important table, you have the power to gently nudge the entire economic system in whatever direction you choose.
All of this brings us to a really profound place. We're essentially looking at a whole new financial order, which forces us to ask a final and very important question. Who really owns the future?
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this: the financial revolution of passive investing, a strategy that was actually designed to make investing easier and more accessible for the average person, has had this massive unintentional consequence of concentrating an incredible amount of power into the hands of just 3 firms. This has fundamentally rewired who owns the market, and maybe more importantly, who controls it. And that new reality leaves all of us with one last, critical question to think about. When a few firms influence everything, who holds them accountable?